Thank you very much. Welcome to our Brea Fullerton UCC joint Christmas concert. I'm so glad you're all here. You are in for a treat because I was sitting in on the rehearsals and there are some exquisite performances today. So thank you for being here. But we'd like to open up with, of course, the uke choir. This is Jennifer Yee reading.
Hi, everyone. I am not a public singer, but I am a public reader. And Jessica gave me a great idea because she said, you know, it'd be great if you could read a passage from the Bible. But I also have some other things to read, and so I'm going to share two readings and partial readings. One is from Corinthians, and today is our Sunday of Love when we were talking about love. And we always hear this reading at weddings and other places where we celebrate love. But when I really thought about what I like to give at Christmas as well as to receive, it is that gift of love, which we read from Corinthians. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. So this other reading I'm doing is actually just excerpts from a book by one of my favorite authors, Bell Hooks. She's a Black feminist author. Her actual name is Gloria Jean Watkins, and I do have a fangirl story. I actually got to meet Bell Hooks at a National Women's Studies Association conference, and I didn't know I was meeting her. It was at breakfast, and one of my colleagues was having breakfast with her. And I went out to say hi with a friend of mine, and then she said, "Oh, Jen, and by the way, let me introduce you to Bell Hooks." And I said, and literally I started to just hyperventilate, and I say, oh my God, you're Bell Hooks. And so for those of you who might not be aware, Bell Hooks is someone who has written from the heart and so very, very deeply about love and action. And, today I spoke about our community, the Congregational Church of Fullerton. And what I didn't get to share was that it's a community where I have seen and I've been able to be part of a community that is love in action. And so these excerpts are from her book that's called All About Love. And I have to be very, very honest. I am reading something from a website called Mi Gente, and this person has posted 10 powerful quotes from Bell Hooks' All About Love. So Bell Hooks wrote in 2000, "I feel our nations turning away from love, moving into a wilderness of spirit so intense we may never find our way home again. I write of love to bear witness both to the danger in this movement and to call for a return to love." She writes about this book because she says love is necessary work, and it's in love that we learn to resist, we learn to thrive, and lead under any circumstances. So the first quote she chose is, "We yearn to end the lovelessness. To open our hearts more fully to love's power and grace, we must dare to acknowledge how little we know of love in both theory and practice. We yearn to end the lovelessness that is so pervasive in our society, and this book tells us how to return to love." The next quote is, "We do not have to love, we choose to love. Will also implies choice. We do not have to love, we choose to love. And when we understand love as the will to nurture our own and another's spiritual growth, it becomes clear that we can't claim to love if we are hurtful and abusive. Love and abuse cannot coexist." Her third choice, "There can be no love without justice. Abuse and neglect negate love. Care and affirmation, the opposite of abuse and humiliation, are the foundation of love. It is a testimony to the failure of loving practice that abuse is happening in the first place." This is the quote that makes me think most of our church. It's called, "The heart of justice is truth-telling." The heart of justice is truth-telling, seeing ourselves and the world the way it is rather than the way we want it to be. More than ever before, we as a society need to renew a commitment to truth-telling. The fifth one is, "When we love, we can let our hearts speak. Redeemed and restored, love returns us to the promise of everlasting life. When we love, we can let our hearts speak." Her sixth one says, "When we can see ourselves as we truly are and accept ourselves, we build the necessary foundation for self-love. Whether we learn how to love ourselves and others will depend on the presence of a loving environment. Self-love cannot flourish in isolation." Her seventh quote, "The light of love is always in us. Do not expect to receive love from someone else you do not give to yourself. The light of love is always in us, no matter how cold the flame. It's always present, waiting for the spark to ignite, waiting for the heart to awaken." Her eighth quote, "Renewal is an act of self-love. When we work with love, we renew the spirit. That renewal is an act of self-love. It nurtures our growth. It's not what you do, but how you do it." Her ninth one, "Love is an act of will, both in intention and in action. Love as the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own and another's spiritual growth. Love is as love does. Love is an act of will, namely, both in intention and in action." And her last one, "We still believe in love's promise. Everywhere we learn that love is important, and yet we are bombarded by failure. This bleak picture in no way alters the nature of our longing. We still hope that love will prevail. We still believe in love's promise." And I hope that's the gift that you will have this Christmas, is hope and love.
This is Chelsea Sanders singing When You Believe.
Many nights we've prayed with no hope anyone could hear. In our hearts a hopeful song we barely understood. Now we are not afraid, although we know there's much to fear. We were moving mountains long before we knew we could. There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve? When you believe, somehow you will. You will when you believe. In this time of fear, when prayer so often proves in vain, hope seems like a summer bird too swiftly flown away. But now I'm standing here with heart so full I can't explain, speaking faith and seeking words I never thought I'd say. There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve? When you believe, somehow you will. You will when you believe. There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. Who knows what miracles you can achieve? When you believe, somehow you will. You will when you believe.
Now Philip Siebel will be doing a demonstration for you.
I told Philip that there was a talent show. I was thinking he might want to sing one of the songs he's learned at school for Christmas. But he's been taking Kung Fu lessons for 3 months, and right after Thanksgiving, he tested and he got his first belt. And when he heard talent show, he knew exactly what his talent was that he needed to share with you guys. And we felt like if you put bells on it, it's Christmas. And it is more festive with the bells.
Now a reading by Shelby Hogan.
Everybody hear me? So, in the Bible, the actual birth of Jesus in both Luke and Matthew gets one sentence. It's like, and Jesus, Mary gives birth and lays him in the manger. And, I always feel like, tell us a man wrote the Bible without saying a man wrote the Bible there. So I thought, hey, I'm a writer. Let's put Mary in the stable and see what she went through. The birth of Jesus. In these days, Caesar Augustus decreed that a census should be taken, so Mary and Joseph traveled to the city of David. When they reached Bethlehem, it was night, and most people had already found a place to rest. Mary and Joseph were turned away again and again, as there were no room in the inns. It was the same at the very last inn, but seeing that Mary was heavy with child, and having compassion for the young couple, the innkeeper asked Mary and Joseph to wait. The innkeeper went inside and knocked on every door in his house. He asked every person if they would give up their rooms, but one said, "I have already paid for my room, go away." And another said, "This is no problem of mine, leave me alone." Door after door was slammed in the innkeeper's face, and nobody was willing to offer the couple a bed for the night. The innkeeper returned to Mary and Joseph and said, "I'm sorry, my boarders are all selfish and hard-hearted, and none will make room for you. I would give you my own bed, but I fear for my family." At that time, the innkeeper's wife touched him on the sleeve. They spoke in low voices, and then turned to Mary and Joseph. "My wife has suggested we offer you our stable for the night. I am ashamed that this is all we have to offer, but my sons will make a clean area, and you will be covered and warm." Mary and Joseph thanked him, and the innkeeper's sons immediately set to prepare the stable. "My wife will bring you fresh water and linens. We will keep watch on the stable throughout the night to be sure that you're safe." When the stable was ready, Mary and Joseph rested in the clean area. The innkeeper's wife and 3 daughters entered. "My name is Devorah," she said, "and I'm a midwife." Mary sighed with relief. Devorah placed her hands on Mary's stomach and then turned to her husband and daughters, saying, "Mary's time is near." The innkeeper nodded and led Joseph outside to keep watch through the night. "Hannah, Esther, please gather the women," Devorah said to her 2 oldest daughters, who were almost grown themselves. "And ask Lydia to bring extra water from the well," she added. Lydia was the strongest of all the village women. She resembled a man, but was truly a woman. "May I wash your feet?" said the innkeeper's youngest daughter, Lael, who was only 7 years old. Mary nodded. Lael balanced a bowl of clean water and a cloth. Despite being careful, some of the water spilled, for Lael had a withered hand and had no feeling in it. Lael kneeled at Mary's feet and dipped the cloth into the bowl. As soon as she touched Mary's feet, Lael was filled with a feeling of awe, lightness, and peace. She knew this would not be an ordinary birth, for Mary was truly blessed among women. Reaching into her pocket, she pulled out a small, nearly empty vial. "Mother, may I use this?" she asked. Devorah knew that it was the last few drops of a very valuable and precious oil. It had come from far away and given in payment for a night from a scholar, or possibly royalty. Devorah knew it was unlikely that they would ever see such a precious gift again, but she also somehow felt that Mary was special. So she said, "Yes, Lael, you may." Lael tipped out the contents of the vial and massaged Mary's swollen feet. Hannah and Esther returned, followed by the village women, bringing food, water, linens, and swaddling cloths. Mary labored throughout the night. The babe was restless in Mary's womb. He moved and kicked, and Mary said, "It feels like he's overturning tables." The women laughed, and Devorah said, "Yes, he's getting in position to be born." Wave after wave of powerful contractions swept through Mary's body. "I feel as though I'm on a boat in the sea, caught in a terrible storm," she said. Devorah smiled. "Take deep breaths and picture this child walking across the water to calm the storm." When Mary needed to move, the women helped her to stand, and with supporting arms, helped her bear the weight of labor as if bearing a heavy wood on their backs. When Mary was thirsty, the women held up the water. "I've never tasted something so sweet," Mary said, taking a deep drink. "Yes, sometimes a child changes plain water into something entirely new," Deborah responded. Mary labored, and because this was her first child, the women spoke in turn, sharing the stories of childbirth and motherhood. They passed on the knowledge mothers knew, how to heal, how to feed, and how to guide the child throughout their life. Just before dawn, Mary showed the final signs of childbirth. "Lael, it is time," Devorah said, for Lael was learning to be a midwife herself. Mary cried, with tears streaming down her cheeks. Lael gently wiped them away, saying, "A mother is the first to cry when a child comes, and the first to cry when a child leaves." As the early morning sun streamed through the boards of the stable, Mary's child was born. Lael reached down to bring the babe to Mary's chest, and when she touched the child, she suddenly felt a tingling in her withered hand. Lael gasped and realized that she could once again bend and flex her fingers without effort. As Lael placed the baby into Mary's arms, she felt strength throughout her body. Her hand was healed, and she used both hands to help Mary wrap the baby in swaddling clothes. As she gazed up at the baby, she whispered in awe, "For unto us a child is born." "Lael, your hand," Devorah cried. "For unto us a child is born," Lael said again, and Devorah and all the women were filled with understanding. "Unto us a son is given," they sang with the voices of their ancestors, "and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, Almighty, God, the Prince of Peace." The women reached out to place their hands on the child sleeping in the manger, and each felt a sense of warmth, peace, and healing as the baby bestowed his blessing. "How is this happening?" one woman asked. "Do not be afraid," Mary said. "God has fulfilled God's promise to send his child to lead, to teach, to heal, to forgive, and to love. This is the Christ child we have been waiting for." And the women fell to their knees, praising the Lord God in the highest, and peace to God's people on earth. Thank you.
This is Natalie Hertzog singing the Christmas song.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh. mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas to you.
Now some photography by Dennis R.
That was beautiful, Natalie. Thank you. And we knew in this church what kind of skills Ron has, musical skills, when we watched him take communion and continue to play throughout. So I want to try and get this set up here. So does that show up? Okay, great. So because I don't have any musical skills, this is me saying, I want to play too. Walk away quietly in any direction and taste the freedom of the mountaineer. Camp out among the grasses and gentian of glacial meadows in craggy garden nooks full of nature's darlings. Climb the mountains and get their good tidings. Nature's peace will flow into you as sunshine flows into trees. The winds will blow their own freshness into you, and the storms their energy. God never made an ugly landscape. All that the sun shines on is beautiful, so long as it is wild. These are the writings of the legendary naturalist John Muir, and they call to me, as they do, I'm sure, to many of you. They call to me especially during the week between Christmas and New Year's. It's a time when I get to get away from work, and often without obligations. Never do I love my job more than during the week between Christmas and New Year's when I get away. It's like a week-long snow day. And it's a time to enjoy the tidings of nature, to visit national parks, to celebrate two of the greatest words I know, lifetime pass. You know, we were the first nation in history to say that our most special places should be set aside not for royalty, not for the rich, not for the well-positioned, but for everyone and for all time. National parks are the Declaration of Independence expressed on the landscape. That's what Dayton Dungan said. He co-produced the Ken Burns series, The National Parks, America's Best Ideas. And some of my best days have been spent in national parks. In Yosemite, Joshua Tree, Bryce Canyon, Zion, Hiking the Narrows is definitely the best 2 days I've ever spent in soaking wet boots. Capitol Reef, one of the most underrated parks. Yellowstone, our first national park, 150 years old this year. This is one of the best days ever spent in Yellowstone. Janine and I and our son and daughter-in-law got to hike to a abandoned wolf den. Saw the antelope give birth, walk into the bushes, very pregnant, come out with the baby, just romping around. And all the what was left behind at the wolf den, they weren't the best at cleaning up after when they ate. The remnants of everything those wolves had consumed was right around the mouth of that den. And this is one my son and I really enjoyed, Little Bighorn National Monument. Glacier Bay might be my favorite. Glacier Bay in Alaska might be my favorite national park. If you ever wonder, are there any other wild places left? If you go on a backcountry kayaking trip in Glacier Bay, and you can be assured there are places of wilderness remain. I want to take us finally back to Yosemite and recall an experience we had a couple of years ago. Janine, myself, and my son Colin. Firefall. I don't know if any of you know of Firefall. We got a chance to go there and witness it. It's an amazing thing. It's one of the least showy parts of the park, usually, is this waterfall, Horsetail Fall. In the summer, dries up. It has to be in the winter. There has to be enough rain for there to be a fall at all. And then the light has to be just right, and that only happens in February, on occasional Februaries. And so, you're dependent on the water, you're dependent on the declination of the sun, and there being sun. It could very well be overcast. But we went one year. You have to go in a big, long line and wait because so many people want to see it. And so you continue with it. So you show up when the sunlight starts to fade a little bit, and it starts to hit the wall just right. And as it keeps going, you and everybody you're with keep waiting, and suddenly that magic happens, and it turns into this, it looks like fire is falling, like lava is falling down the hillside. And it really is a magical moment when it becomes like liquid magic. So I kind of wanted to end then with a poem just to kind of reference the fact that going there takes the effort. You've got to wait in line. It's more like a theme park than a national park at that point. But then you're there in that moment, and the sunlight starts to fade, and you're surrounded by a bunch of people, but it's really a fun moment. Everybody's just waiting for the magic to happen. And so it really references the fact that this place should be open to everyone, and you should find a way for us to share it together. This is an excerpt from On the Pulse of the Morning by Maya Angelou. Across the wall of the world, a river sings a beautiful song. It says, "Come rest here by my side." There is a true yearning to respond to the singing river and the wise rock, So say the Asian and the Hispanic and the Jew, the African, the Native American, the Sioux, the Catholic, the Muslim, the French, the Greek, the Irish, the rabbi, the priest, the sheik, the gay, the straight, the preacher, the privileged, the homeless, the teacher. They hear, they all hear the speaking of the tree. Thank you.
And this is Christine Shimke singing Celebrate Me Home.
Ooh. I was going to try to call attention to a couple things before I sang. First of all, I want to call attention to our blue Christmas tree over here, which for me is meaningful because that has a picture of my friend Kath on it. That's me and Kath when I was 14 and she was 17, and various other times. And Kath didn't make it because of the heroin and fentanyl crisis in this country. She was only 57. We were friends for 40 years, and it really took the wind out of my sails. And just, if I look at that tree and think about it, that's what I think about. It's the fentanyl and it's heroin and fentanyl crisis, because people take heroin, but it's got fentanyl in it. And they're accustomed to using their heroin. They like their heroin, and they never know that that's going to become the devil and take their life, and it's a big deal. The other big deal I was going to make, and that was for our YouTube live streamers, but on a personal note, I would like to dedicate my song today to my niece, Josie. Josie, you are my family, and I miss you, because I never get to see her, and she's long ago and far away Vallejo. But that's all I have to say. I tooted my horn. Now I will exercise my vocal cords. Home for the holidays. I believe I've missed each and every face. Come on and play one easy. Let's turn on every love light in the place. It's time I found myself totally surrounded in your circles. Oh, my friends, please celebrate me home. Give me a number, please celebrate me home. Play me one more song that I'll always remember, that I can recall whenever I find myself too all alone. I can sing me home. Uneasy highway, traveling where the westerly winds can fly. Somebody tried to tell me, but the man forgot to tell me why. I gotta count on being strong. Come on, Mama, come on, Daddy, and please, what do you want from me? I'll be strong, I'll be weak, I'll be weak. Please celebrate me home. Give me a number, please celebrate me home. Play me one more song that I'll always remember, that I can recall whenever I find myself too all alone. I can make believe I'm never gone. Let me tell you where I belong. Sing me home, celebrate me home. Give me a number, please. Celebrate me home. Play me one more song. Please celebrate me home. Oh, please celebrate me home. Whoa, well, I'm finally here, but I'm bound to roam. Come on and celebrate me home. Well, I'm finally here, but I'm bound to roam. Come on and celebrate me home. Well, I'm finally here, but I'm bound to roam. Come on, celebrate me home. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you all for being here, and we're going to close out the show with someone who I am a huge fan of. Suddenly performing our two sessions together, there is no bounds to her talent. Just come up.
Thanks, Ron. I was literally coming up here getting ready to say the same thing about you. Like, I have to follow that. Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of the dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees. Oh, hear the angel voices. Oh, night divine. Oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night divine. Oh, night. Oh, night divine. Led by the light of faith serenely beaming, with glowing hearts by his cradle we stand. So led by light of a star sweetly gleaming, here came the wise ones from Orient land. The King of Kings lay thus in lowly manger, in all our trials born to be our friend. He knows our need. Our weakness is no stranger. Behold your King, before him lowly bend. Behold your King, before him lowly bend. Truly he taught us to love one another. His love is law, and his gospel is peace. Chains shall he break, for the slave is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus raise we, let all within us praise his holy